All right, greetings everyone. Just checking before I get going to make sure that everyone can hear me. Because I think I'm scarred. A couple streams ago, I started a stream and literally my mic wasn't set up correctly. And it took people cluing into the chat telling me nothing was coming through. So I'm just going to say in the chat here, can you folks hear me okay? And we will wait for visual confirmation. We'll wait for a text, a message from you guys. Voice is clear, Vox confirmed. All right, guys, we're going in. How do I do that? Here we go. You can tell I'm only an amateur streamer here. I have to look at the settings every time. Guys, welcome to MetalMercs on today, our very special Steam launch day. Now, just to be absolutely clear, this doesn't mean the game is being fully released today. This is the launch of our Steam page, which has a public demo, which is newer and shinier than we've ever had before. And the full release of the game is still about a year away. But nonetheless, some exciting things have already happened here today. Earlier today, we had Splat from Splattercat Gaming, and basically put out the first gameplay video of MetalMercs, or this version of MetalMercs, I should say, which was amazing. It was amazing. So for those of you who followed MetalMercs since its fan Battletech origin days, you know that at one point in time it was called BattleMercs, and it was full of awesome Battletech goodness. And Splattercat checked the game out back then. He checked it out out of the blue. And that drove a lot of people to discover us, which was awesome. And that was like over a year ago, and he decided to do it again to coincide with this Steam page launch. So that's awesome. I don't have any exciting Steam metrics to share with you because the metrics are always like a day delayed. But I have, you know what I will say? I will say this. Honestly, I feel like people who actually are game developers who make a living off this, I don't know how the hell they do it, because I'm doing it purely as a fan passion project because I want to make a great mech game that we can all enjoy and that you people will enjoy. And I'm like a mess today. Like, I haven't been hungry, I haven't been eating, I've just been like trying to watch every metric. It's like today when it went out, when the game launched, when the Steam page launched, I found like 2 bugs that I somehow missed and I had to go back and fix. So some people tried the demo and there were 2 tiny little bugs they might have encountered. They're since fixed. So if you try the Steam demo now, it's all fixed. But before we really get going, I thought it would be good to like thank the people who significantly helped us along the way in the music department, because I can absolutely not make music. We have had some very awesome support from Joel S., Metalson the Viking, and Punch Deck, who gave us permission to use a lot of his music as well. So those guys, those 3 talented musicians, are really behind pretty much every awesome tune you're going to hear today and that you've been hearing in the game. Of course, thanks to Splat for helping announce the game and probably driving way more traffic than I would ever normally see to the Steam page, and giving us a chance for people to check it out. Even the folks over at Sarna.net, I reached out to them and they said they'd mention MetalMercs in their monthly roundup at the end of the month. So yeah, I don't know how people who really make games do this, because as I say, it's like, I don't think of myself as a high-stress person, but I have been stressed to no end today for some reason. And I think I boiled it down to, I have this weird feeling that the game is now going to be seen by a bunch of people who aren't you guys, who I know are like receptive, kind, you know, if you discover a bug, you'll tell me about it so we can fix it and make the game better. But when it just goes out to the generic internet, I guess I have this fear people are going to hate it and tell me I'm a talentless hack and and whatever else, whatever other complaint you want to make up about the game. So I know that's probably not true, but I don't know. So anyway, the Steam page is up, and today is pretty much just a celebratory stream. We're going to be sitting back, relaxing, playing some MetalMercs, and to the degree that you guys ask questions, I'll be answering questions. We can just do whatever we want. I'll tell you a little bit about like my plans for what's coming in MetalMercs. So, you know, if you haven't seen MetalMercs in a while, if you've tuned out for a couple of months, that's okay. First of all, welcome back. Awesome to have you. But second of all, I will say one of the things I've tried to push in this version 6.1, so we had version 6 that came out for the supporters and stuff, and that added a whole brand new feature, which was called shots, which I really do think makes the game significantly better, and we'll play around with it here today. But in version 6.1, one of the big updates, besides a bunch of stability fixes, was to start to add more polish to the game. Because I realized that, you know, as fun as the game is, like some things got so much more satisfying when I added like explosions, proper death explosions to mechs and stuff. And so I wanted to add some more polish. And so we'll see some of that here today. It's nothing groundbreaking. That's why it's version 6.1, not 7. But I think every little bit helps. So as I have said before, by the way, adventures are coming. And if you don't know what adventures are, my concept for this is to have some linear plot-driven stories that people can play through. There's been a handful of people who volunteered on the Discord who have various programming or like DMing experience from RPGs, who I think is a great mix for this. And this was supposed to come this summer. It's really going to come this fall because it took me like a month and a half to get the Steam page going. I thought it would take like 2 days. It took 6 weeks to do properly. The expedition is where we're going in the future in the game. I don't want to say too much about that today. But for our purposes, we're just going to relax with the chillaxin career. And there's various factions we can choose from. You guys are, these factions are old hat to you guys, you know them all. We're going to go no affiliation because I want to get a kind of mix of mechs for this run. And I'm going to make life easy on myself, and I'm going to turn off repairs require parts just so we don't have to worry about our inventory of items. But this can actually make the game quite a bit more challenging and fun. Also, wages are fun to have on, but usually when I stream, I don't have them on just because it creates complications. Oh yeah, and Dogbrain says the real ones knows what's up. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate your support. All right, let's find a cool name. Jeremy Jaden. I kind of like that. It's like a Peter Parker style name. And I feel like this is kind of a Jeremy Jaden. Makes sense. Master Scout is actually, you know what? I watched Splattercat's video this morning, and he was talking about these perks. And he said he really liked Master Scout, and I was like, actually, that is a pretty good ability. So I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take Wealthy too, actually, just so we have a bit more cash to start the game up. And in terms of abilities, specialties, so anything with accuracy is really good now that we have called shots. So heavy weapon accuracy could be quite good. Also mid-range accuracy might be even better though. Let's do mid-range. That's pretty good, I think. All right. And Assault Force King's Guard. That is a long name. What else you got? The Lightning Pests, the Azure Villains, the Knuckle Heretics. I kind of like that. All right, we're going with Knuckle Heretics. We'll do a draft. We'll leave it at 5 years. That's all fine. And off to the races we go. So here's Jeremy Jaden. He's a Master Scout. He's a wealthy Master Scout. That means he hails from the Sovereignty. And he is good at mid-range. All right, so what do we want out of mechs? I'm going to go with the Lancer. I do like the Lancer. In terms of pilots, wow, Gunnery 7. That's crazy. With auto guns, which kind of suck, but +1 speed and dodge is nothing to balk at either. I'm going to try and not linger over these decisions too much because it will become very tedious to watch me play. But yeah, so version 6.1 of the game here is going to be coming out for, I'll take this one, is going to be coming out for the supporters and the patrons and stuff. In fact, all I have to do is update the links. I have this stuff ready for you guys as working extra today to make sure it would be. So I will do that after the stream, so everyone can go ahead and be playing version 6.1. As I said, even for the people who've been following me from the start on Patreon but haven't necessarily been supporters, I was going to put something special out, and basically what I'm going to send to you guys is a demo version of version 6.1 that has all the houses unlocked as it has been so far in the game. So basically when we went to Steam, one of the things I did is limit the Steam demo to just the sovereignty and the union for a variety of reasons, keeping it simple and so on. But also, you know, as we have been building the game, I've wanted you guys to have access to everything and be testing, but it was always my intention that the demo wouldn't, like, you know, like why buy the cow when you get the milk for free kind of thing. Like, the demo wasn't intended to give away everything, but I did kind of feel like to the people who've been sticking with the game, even people who've just been like fans and stuff, it didn't feel right. You guys have been playing with all the houses so far, so it felt like you guys should get a little treat. So if you have been a supporter up to this point previously, then you'll get a little perk in the emails, probably tonight or tomorrow or something like that. So you can keep an eye out for that. But for those of you who are playing the normal demo, I mean, yeah, you have to play as the Union or the Sovereignty, but, ooh, I like this, +1 damage and accuracy, and elite. But all the mechs of all the factions are technically available. You just have to like salvage them or try and buy them and stuff. So you may not be able to start as the Protectorate, for instance, but you could easily get Protectorate maps or mechs. Yeah, this is really good. Cannons and mid-range accuracy. It's quite good. Okay, what else do we want? We'll take the Warden, and that caps us off. All right, we got our little mercenary band here, our band of rapscallions. I'm gonna adjust my windows here for a second. Bear with me. There we go. All right, so the Age of Balance. One of the things, by the way, that I am planning to do in the next year is definitely focus on including more lore. So there's like 3 pillars of what I want to work on. What was it? I feel like now that I thought about this ahead of the stream, it was oh my god, I'm literally blanking. It's crazy. It's like being on stage and like panicking. Number 1 was plot, because I wanted to include like more lore and plot into the game. Oh, polish. I knew it was 2 P's and an M. Plot, polish, missions. So the game definitely has lore, and in fact, we can come in here, we can talk to the locals, and we get like, you know, rumors and stuff. So you can definitely sort of get some of the lore, and go over to the Newsnet and get some stories and stuff. But really, like, for instance, the wiki has a lot of lore in it that isn't officially like embedded in the game. And so one thing I want to do is not only add some more lore into the game, but make some of the plot and the missions relevant to the lore to kind of better embed those elements into the game. Something else is polish, as I've already talked about. We really got to polish this game up, because I think it's a good game, but you know, it has to look and feel good, and things like clicking a button should feel satisfying, you know. So there's things we can do with that. So polish will be other things. And the other thing is missions. So right now, so if you remember back when this was MetalMercs, we used to have long campaigns, and it would just be like 3 missions. You wouldn't know what they were. Nowadays, you can see like what the 3 missions are, and if you fail a mission, you can even get like an alternative chain of missions that you could carry out. So like missions are more interesting now, but I feel like they're still not where we need them to be, in the sense of I want these mission chains to include a little bit more. I won't say exactly what, not to spoil, but I think I want to improve these a bit. But the actual missions, I feel like, need to be more complex and more interesting. And the reference I always go back to is Mech Commander, right? So like some of the missions here, let me find one here. Like a general combat mission. What does it say? A light enemy patrol is active in this region. Find them and eliminate them. So in this mission, you get dropped in a map, and you literally wander aimlessly till you happen to find enemies, you kill them, you win, mission over. It's the simplest kind of mission you could make. And admittedly, it kind of made sense when at one point when I added it, I'm like, oh, it's like a death match. But really, truthfully, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I don't think this is as fun as it could be. And so what I want to do over the next year, in addition to adding the expedition and the adventures, is revamp some of these missions in doing the other things, and make these missions more dynamic, you know, like a couple of waypoints you have to get to, and like a base you have to take out, and some forces will come in to defend, and then do this and this. So where there's like a little bit more happening on each mission, because I really think that could, you know, make the game much more interesting. And, you know, it'd make the missions more fun, frankly. I'm just going to ramp this all up, and we'll see what they actually offer me. But this mission is probably what we'll take to start off with. Let's see. Oh. 0 tokens per mission. Wow, they really... Let's try and lock that in. Let's get rid of the advance, because we don't need the advance. Even the per mission. Just leave that at 2. Okay, I will take this contract. That's a reasonable one. Before we actually launch our mission, though, let me just quickly see if there are any pilots that we want to hire. No one is around right now. Alex Stoyo says, oh, game like Mech Commander. Yes, sir. Yep. As you will see, this game is similar to Mech Commander, and eventually the missions will be a little better. You know, taking some inspiration from Mech Commander. There were no real mechs there that I wanted, so let's just go ahead and launch our mission. So yeah, revamping the missions. There's something else I wanted to tell you guys about, but I've forgot. Maybe it'll come to me. If there's anything, by the way, that you guys want to see today, let me know, because we'll just play around, make a handful of missions, and see what we can make happen. You know what I should do is put everyone who has missiles into one group. Like, does anyone else have missiles? He does, but he's already there. Dragoon. Oh yeah, this guy should be... Okay, so group 2, column 2 is our missile group. Column 1 will be combat. Okay, and then we want lasers. Oh, I know what mech you should pilot. Jaden was mid-range. So probably the Dragoon might be a good bet, actually. I feel like we should move the Dragoon up to the top spot if we're going to put our captain in there. Okay, now this guy's good with small mechs, but we don't really have any, so I guess he'll just go in the beast. Auto guns. Oh man, Patriots all the way. She's gonna suffer a piloting penalty, which makes her easier to hit, but her gunnery is right where it needs to be, so it is what it is. Versatile medium weapons. Okay, this guy is long range, so that should work. Medium weapons. I guess the Watcher. He has some medium weapons. Small. It doesn't really matter what we put him in. Cannons in close range or mid range. All right. All right, that's the best we can do with the pilots we've got. I think this one will be a pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Oh, we have way too much weight. Who should we leave back? Oh, you know what I just realized? I've got like the music I'd queued up for the title screen going. Sound volume. Gonna load the actual game's music. There we go. Okay, let's go back in here. Launch our mission here. Dogbrain said endless battle mode, high score posted on the world to see. Yeah, I think something, so not to spoil things, but something like that is on my mind. So one of the long-term goals I have for MetalMercs, and call me a dreamer, but well, first of all, I would like to see it develop into an actual universe where people want to play games in it, where it's not tied to one specific game. So that's one, you know, long-term dream for this game. We'll see. But I mean, like, you know, it's one dream. But the other thing is, like, I want there to be different eras to play in and different game modes. So right now the game is very centered around this like, you know, kind of open world mode where you travel around the core, you take contracts, and then you try and build up your mercenary company. I think that's a great game mode. It was inspired from the original Mech Warrior 1, not Mech Warrior 2, the original Mech Warrior. But as I have mentioned in the demo, for the expedition, the Great Expedition, one thing I'm hoping to do is like a mix-up of the kind of game that surrounds the combat. So rather than being focused on getting contracts and stuff, it's focused more on like planetary attacks and like campaigns to try and take over a planet. There's a new smoke effect, by the way, which we added, some of the new polish. So there's one other game mode. There's another idea I have for a different game mode that I think Dogbrain would be along the lines of what you're thinking of, like kind of an endless combat mode. So different modes of gameplay I think would be fun and important to the longevity of, like, you know, the MetalMercs project, if we can call it that. But then the other thing is, like, I think one thing I've always loved about BattleTech is how there's different eras. And like for me personally, the 3025 era is my favorite. But I feel like there are perks to like the 3039 era, the 3050 era, or even post 3050. And admittedly, I start to like not keep up with the BattleTech universe too far after the clans. Around 3050 is where I tap out. But I've always liked how there's like different mechs and different politics and different stuff going on in the different eras. And so, you know, right now we're playing MetalMercs in the 5016 era, which is right before the Great Expedition lore-wise. And when the Great Expedition happens, it's a big shakeup in the universe and stuff happens. And my long-term, you know, if I can be so bold to say my long-term goals for the universe are that there will be some different eras to play through. There'll be some different play styles of like how your mercenary company operates and stuff. And the lore will continue to like grow as the politics of the game change. So yeah, that's kind of the goal. And anyway, I'm just blabbing through all the combat. We just took out a base here, and now it is time. We've earned a bunch of called shots, so I think we just use them to decimate these guys. So Freedo says those explosions are so great. Thank you, sir. And tech changes too, I would assume. Yes. So importantly, as the eras go on, there will be tech changes. That is the goal. I'm going to shoot this guy in the legs to slow him down. And then once he's nice and slow, these other guys can come in here. And we can do things like core shots. I added a little camera shake when you actually do fire a core shot, because previously it felt a little underwhelming, so a little tiny bit of polish, but there's so much more polish to do. I feel like now every time I play another game, I'm looking at the game being like, man, it does so many things better than MetalMercs, and I'm like, okay, I have to do better, and like thinking of all the things I could improve, and like, you know, I'm one guy, so like sometimes some of these things take a while to actually implement, but you know, I got time. I mean, I don't know what else I'm gonna do with my time. Okay, let's do a mega punch. So this would do 3 times damage and 10 internal damage to myself. Let's do it. Boom. Okay, I can't believe that one guy is still surviving. How many more called shots do we have? Can we get him with anything? Bombard him? This one little outrider has sucked up almost every called shot. I think my long strike still has one. We took him down. Kaboom! One of the other new effects that so when I was programming this game, you know, I hit a point where I was like, okay, the demo's coming out next week. I gotta contact YouTubers and various things. I gotta like get media for the Steam page and make trailers. There's all this non-programming stuff you have to do if you make a game. And so this was like a week ago, and I was like, I should really like stop making new changes to the game, like lock down this version and do all the other stuff. I was literally updating the code until like last night, you know, at like I think 11 p.m. I made changes, and I made a few bug fixes today when I saw some people playing the game. But Yeah, one of the things I added last minute is I randomly decided that the water didn't look good enough, and I'm like, the water, I'm not going to make amazing looking water because it's, you know, beyond the amount of time I have, but I'm like, it has to be semi-transparent. And so I rewrote a whole bunch of code in how it renders maps to add in semi-transparent water. So we'll play until we see a map with water, so you guys can at least see. I was going to say be wowed, but let's be honest, you guys can just see. Again, nothing groundbreaking, but I think it adds a little more attention to detail than we had previously. So, Alex says, would there be allied merc companies in the mission that join you in your campaign, or rescuable pilots that you can add to your team if you get them quick enough? So that is possible. We already have missions in this game where you have like a big battle and there's like allies on your side fighting a big battle with you. What you're suggesting could exist in the expedition. It could also exist in adventures. So I can tell you a little bit more about what I have planned for adventures too. Alex also says, a funny idea, mech races is a side cash gig. You could run your mech around a track. I like that only if you're allowed to sabotage the other mechs by shooting them. Road rash style. But yeah, you could have something like that in theory as well. So the adventures mode, which is something that, again, we've got people waiting on the Discord to help make, and I really want to see come to fruition sooner rather than later, because I think it could be a really like cool mode to exist, is basically the inspiration is drawn from, again, the Crescent Hawk's Revenge. Shock, surprise, right? Like where some of the original inspiration for this game came from. Or I say some, like it wasn't predominantly. But no, if you guys played the Crescent Hawk's Revenge, so it's very similar to this kind of in like artificial look, by the way. And by the way, here we have a night mission, and oh, we do have water here. Things are hard to see underwater at night, so you might not get the full transparency, but we'll play till there's a day mission as well. And I think we just have to kill the enemies. Yeah, just eliminate the enemies. But yeah, basically, in the Crescent Hawk's Revenge, you play missions like this, but after each mission, you get kind of like a cutscene where, you know, Kurt or Rex or whoever will talk to you, get some dialogue. Sometimes you might get a dialogue choice, and in that dialogue choice, if you make one choice, then the next mission will go a certain way. If you make a different choice, it'll go a different way. So there's a bit of a choose-your-own-adventure to it, but it is largely a linear campaign, right? There's a handful of missions you go through in a particular order, and it tells a story. That's basically what I want to add to MetalMercs. Like, we have the combat engine here, and there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't string together some missions based on story. And so in order to facilitate that, I've developed a much simpler and hopefully relatively intuitive script for fans like yourselves to basically just write little stories and string together missions in between. You can even have branching paths and stuff like that. Then you could do things in missions, like you could have an allied mercenary company you have to rescue who then joins your team, or, you know, different things could happen. So there'll be a number of like triggers and actions you'll have, you know, be able to set with your stories. So yeah, so that's the hope of stories. That's what we want to try to create, because both, I think, it would add in a story element that the game is currently missing, because the game feels very agnostic in terms of like who's piloting these mechs and why. So it'd be nice to add in some Crescent Hawk style stories. And then also what I always liked doing as a game player in my day was making custom maps for stuff. I used to make custom maps for StarCraft and Warcraft 3 and stuff like that. And I used to love like messing with triggers and making special missions and stuff. So it's like, I thought it'd be really cool for you folks who are playing MetalMercs to have at least the option. If you want to tell your story in the game, you could do that. And I want to try and make it as easy as possible. Hence, we're trying to make a very accessible little scripting language where it's not very hard and so on. So yeah, that's one of the goals of MetalMercs, and I think that would add another way to play the game, right? You wouldn't have to worry about contracts and stuff. It'd be more story-based, and I think it would be exciting to see what kind of stories people actually come up with, because I definitely know there are some really talented people out there who, you know, maybe they can't make a game from scratch, but you give them the tools to like tell a story, and you know, like they will, you know, like they'll come up with some very cool stuff. So yeah, so I'd be excited to see what you guys could cook up. See what this happens here. 2.5, 10, 4.8 million's pretty good. I say we do it. Let's do. And we also do need some more mechs here. Defending convoys, fighting big bases, one-on-one duels, and then crazy tower defense aspect. Yes, 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 and yes. Yeah, like I say, so you know, like from my point of view, I'm not looking at it like, oh, I'm gonna finish MetalMercs in a year, put it out on Steam, and make as much money as I can, and then I'm gonna walk away. I view it as like MetalMercs. You know, I have loved the Crescent Hawk since I was a child. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I've always wished it had a real sequel, and it never got one. Somehow I'm getting to make a game that's kind of like what I always dreamed about. And like, there are people who are like fans and supporting it and like very encouraging even. And like, I feel like I have no plans to walk away. And if anything, I want to see how much more we can add to this. And so I'm bursting with ideas of things I want to do with this game long term. I'm trying not to rush through anything. But in my mind, I'm like, if the game comes out in a year and gets released, maybe that's just the beginning, you know? You know what I mean? Like, I just want to see more of this stuff in existence. I think having more BattleTech style mech games out there is awesome. And you know, yeah, you know, people have looked at this game and like, it's very BattleTech-y, and it's like, it's kind of by design, it's BattleTech in its DNA, but I do have other ideas about how to forge my own path. So I'm not trying to just straight up copy BattleTech or anything. And something else I will say too is like, in addition to all the gameplay changes, you know, like that we've made already, and other modes that I've been thinking of, I also do have some ideas for the lore of the universe, which I mean, I'm so biased, but I personally think are pretty good. But no, not only that, I think would really differentiate us from the BattleTech universe and really make it sort of something that's different in its own way. We can add another unit, so let's go with this guy. And, you know, I've, you know, always been a huge fan of like sprawling, you know, space operas and stuff, you know, like Star Wars and Game of Thrones and stuff. Although, like, I always have to qualify and say, like, when Game of Thrones was good, or like the original Star Wars and stuff. So, lore-wise, you know, this isn't just a universe where there's a bunch of mechs shooting at each other for no reason. I have thought through a grand story that we can hopefully eventually tell that would sprawl over like 60 years of the in-game universe and have multiple eras, like the 3025 BattleTech era, like the 3050, where there's like big seismic shifts in the politics and the technologies, and like borders change and stuff. And again, I don't want to like give it all away right now because it's my long-term plan to tell these stories. But you know, we'll see. Anyway, this is the super wide-eyed optimistic, this is what I want to do kind of thing. And then we'll just be patient and get it done. So anyway, hopefully you guys stick around for that journey and don't get bored along the way. Okay, we have to stop enemies though. And they are over here. Enemy hornets. But I needed some called shots to... Oh, never mind. All right, that guy's done. Hornets are actually pretty funny because, like, really one lucky core shot, if you do a called shot on them, can really take them down. Ah, there we go. Okay. I don't even know where these guys are fleeing to. Here and here. Oh, another guy. The beast. I have to say, I feel like the new smoke effects really turned out well as well. Again, like, you know, I'm kind of a realist in the sense of, like, this game is never going to be, like, a photorealistic, like, AAA game, but I think for what it is, the graphics are turning out pretty good. I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on it myself, personally. Like, there are times when, like, I've just finished playing, like, a bunch of, like, modern games, Then I sit down to work on MetalMercs. I'm like, oh, it looks so crappy. Like, why am I doing this? I'm a failure. I shouldn't work on this game anymore. But then I just got to remind myself that there's all kinds of really, you know... I mean, I do find a charm in the pixel art. That's why I picked it. You know, don't get bogged down by doubt, I guess is all I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying is that I sometimes have doubt. You know, as a solo developer who's doing this for funsies. I turned all my called shots onto auto, by the way, just because we got a lot of action going on, and I feel like I don't have a particular need to reserve my called shots. I just want my guys doing maximal damage. There we go. Go down, lineman. Freedo says having friends being able to control some mechs during battles would be amazing. I know multiplayer is probably a huge effort, though. Yeah, I think the reality of... People have asked about multiplayer before. I think the reality of MetalMercs right now is that multiplayer isn't on the radar, so to speak, just because of how the game is designed. So I've talked about this before, but the game is made in Pygame, which means the entire engine is custom written, which gives you a lot of control over the game, but also it's a bit limiting because it doesn't have like proper access to like GPU effects and stuff. So I have thought of, you know, in a couple years maybe, porting MetalMercs to something like Godot, to like a proper game engine, and then at that point, you know, upgrading the engine and adding in some things I couldn't do before. So like maybe multiplayer could be an option at that point, potentially. So, you know, never say never, but probably not in like the immediate future. Rescuing farms and cities, sabotaging bridges, and watching enemies fall into the river down below cliffs, daring stealth missions. Alex, man, you got so many ideas. That's awesome. I like those. I like the idea of collapsing a bridge when enemies are on it. I mean, that's very like Mech Commander. You can do that in that, I believe. Freedow says, just look at the success of Dwarf Fortress. That is true. I mean, it is possible to make games that have like older style graphics and still be successful. So yeah, I mean, another game that I think about a lot if I ever kind of do get down on myself about the graphics is I think of Backpack Hero, which is a more modern or more recent game that I personally have really enjoyed. And that's a very pixel arty game, you know. I think it still looks really good, actually. And, you know, it actually has some things it's doing, not even some things. There are many things, some touches they have that are even nicer than what I've got here. So it's not like they're worse than me, by far. But I do think of them as like, they're like a pixel art game in the domain of MetalMercs here. And like, they've done quite well. So I think you can carve out a style. And while some people I think will be turned off by like the retro graphics, I don't think it will turn off everyone. So, you know. How do you salvage any mech when they explode so much? Like, what's the in-game explanation? Amazingly skilled techs. But the actual game, oh my god, I'm getting overwhelmed here. Okay, I gotta back off. I also lost my long strike because I was being a little negligent. Holy god. Oh no, my warden! Oh my god, okay, we are getting... Okay, we have to call shots these guys. This is crazy. Okay, heavy Vulcan this guy. No wait, we want to reserve that. I need to bombard him to work his armor down. Get that armor down. Boom. Okay, anyone else have missiles or something? I could rocket him. Hope he's out of range. This is actually gonna be a tight battle if we get it. Okay, we can rocket him to get his armor down. Boom. Okay, and now... Oh, I still have called shot on him too. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna try. So we have a 56% chance to hit internal. I'm gonna try and double damage him. I did 60 damage. That's crazy. Can we do another one? I'm burning all my called shots trying to take down one mech. 20 damage. I think this guy might be on the run after this. Gotta target him properly. Okay, we got him. The Outrider is weak, so we can take him down too. Hopefully that will scare the rest of them off. I only need to take down one more mech to pass this mission, and I can just hide. Oh god. Cold shot him. Get him in the legs. Don't let him get away! Boom. I feel like this music is like appropriately epic as I'm like desperately trying to survive here. Okay, flee! Flee! Go ahead. I'm letting you guys through the battlefield. You don't have to chase me down. I'm giving you what you want. Don't kill me. Just gonna hide. It's the coward's way, but it's a way. Oh god, he found me. I don't know how, but he found me. And now he's running. All right, we're gonna let him go. It's an uneasy truce. So would you ever consider deployable traps, tripwires, mines? Pajama Boy, you are thinking like you're on some kind of expedition. I'll leave it at that. Lots of folks love good pixel art aesthetic. I think that's true. I think that's true. I mean, I personally do. So, yeah. I'm just talking about like moments of doubt. Will these bases have defenses that can be used to your aid, or possibly a mode where you can set down defenses in pre-approved zones? There are some missions where there are already turrets and stuff that will help you. The idea of maybe being able to place some of those, or maybe even being able to build a small base, is something that is also like on my radar as a potential thing down the line. Somebody else says, it would be great to defend the same base multiple missions in a row, but each time there's more friendly defense turrets. That's a good idea, like having cumulative missions. Combined arms would be fun as well. Tanks, artillery, infantry. That is also something that I think you'll see more of in the expedition. I don't mean to preempt you guys. You guys are coming up with good ideas, but I don't mean to be like, I've already thought of that. I've already thought of that. Just, you know, great minds. Mechs remind me of Front Mission and Zone of Ender style. Pixel art makes you stand out as long as it's not too taxing. I do like the idea of having other units. Totally agree. Okay, so we passed the mission, I think. Oh no, there's another one! Oh god. You know, I thought we were done. I was like, oh yeah, sweet, we made the mission. Okay. I was gonna salvage some parts, but I guess, I mean, there's not really much to salvage. We gotta go full repair on this one. And what have we lost? Oh god. This is bad. This is so bad. Oh my god. My mechs have like no internal hit points. I really gotta think about how to distribute this. I mean, we're gonna use every single armor repair that we got. Guess we'll put on that guy. Okay. This is gonna be like our next mission. We're gonna be like paper dragons. We're like, we have maxed out armor, but literally like a couple of internal hits and we're dead. And we're just gonna hope it works out. We can only repair, okay, well, this is it. We got 1 internal components. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. How many more mechs? 5. Every single mech is on death's door with internal components. All right, I'm gonna let you guys vote. Dragoon, Beast, Lancer, Patriot, Watcher, Champion. That's a lot to vote on. The first mech to get 2 or 3 votes in a row wins, and we'll go ahead and repair that one. I'll give you a second to vote here. Dragoon, Beast, Lancer, Patriot, Watcher, Champion. We got Patriot. There's one option here. Patriot. Oh, we got Patriot, Beast, Patriot. I think that's going to come down to the Patriot. Any more votes? Patriot. Oh, everyone just wants the Patriot. All right. Because he's so patriotic. I might have actually gone for the Champion because the Patriot had full armor, so all the mechs with full armor are a little protected, but the Champion could take an internal hit, but you guys are bolder than me. Should we reactivate? I'm going to reactivate the Long Strike, because at least it could linger back and be okay. Other than that, I think that's it. We're just going to risk it. Gonna see what happens. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 enemy mechs. Okay. And I'm going into combat with all my guys. The Watcher might also be useful because he has regenerative shields. So that he's one guy that we have to pilot for every mech we assign. Oh, a mech for every pilot. Yep, there we go. Is there a means to auto repair for the player? Maybe 2 attacks from playing or direct percentage. When you are between missions, when you go back to the starport, you can go to repair your mechs and you can just click full repair and it will repair everything. On the salvage screen, there isn't an auto repair because like every choice matters so much. It's really just you have to like select what you want to repair, and it depends on how many repair tokens you have for armor, internal, and all this stuff. So, yeah. One thing I also fixed up is the shutter effect when you move through the forest. Previously, I was using this algorithm that just, like, distorted the tile in this really pixelated way. It's hard to describe, but if you go and look at a previous version, the forests are kind of, like, funky when you walk through them. Now it actually at least, like, moves as if you're kind of, like, pushing trees aside. So that's one other little thing. There are tons of new pilots to hire, so no worries. Well, I'm not worried about the pilots. I'm worried about the mechs. Who cares about the pilots? Frankly, meat is cheap. I think somebody said that in one of the previous streams. Meat is cheap. I think a mobile repair vehicle or cargo truck would be a very useful thing. Yes. I like what you're thinking of. There is a mechanic I have in mind for that. It won't be like a truck necessarily. Although, a long time ago I kind of thought of that. I mean, maybe it could be a truck one day, but there's something else I have in mind for that. But yes, there is, there will be more ways to like, kind of do things flexibly on the battlefield. Okay, luckily these guys seem to be pretty weak. I feel like these guys did an intercept mission that didn't go so well. The enemy did, because, like, look at them. Pretty easy to whittle down here. Okay, we got some called shots that are available, though, so let's take full advantage here. We take this guy down. Let's see. How about medium laser? I think this would actually kill him. Boom, yeah, that's all it took. Okay, we got a few more called shots here. Let's Ultra Vulcan him. Boom. Oh, that did go internal. Wasn't quite enough to kill him. But this will be. Boom. Oh, it hit his armor, you lucky bastard. Alright, well this is enough to kill you. Boom. There we go. Alright, there's only a few light mechs. Actually, these are more like medium mechs. Okay, let's bombard this guy. We're gonna back off here. I think I should use more advanced tactics of like trying to like keep the enemy occupied with my like close to mid-range guys while I have my long-range guys from a distance. I feel like that's just smarter. Definitely, even though there aren't rear-facing shots in this game, positions do matter. and like where you place your guys on the battlefield can like affect things. One thing that's sort of, you know, always had to balance how the combat mechanics work is just the complexity of the fact that you're you know, controlling like 8 to 12 units in real time, you know. So there are some compromises in terms of like how precise mechanics are. Like shooting people in the back just didn't really fit because of all the complexity of how fast things are happening and blah blah blah. So Alex says allies during some of these missions or a way to share loot might be good in some of these long missions. Lava Hunter says trucks for repair equals how about non-combat units give you extra salvage tokens if they survive missions? This is not a bad idea. Does the game adjust how difficulty the opponents are depending on the difficulty of the mission or some kind of mix? Yeah, Wrangler. So I'll show you in a second, but when we... this is our last mission, so we got crap for salvage. One thing I do want to down the line improve is the salvage output. It's fine. We've gone through many iterations of this, but I feel like it's still not perfect, and I think it could be better. So that will change as the game continues to sort of be developed. We're going to restore a mech. Oh, we ran out of tokens. Wasn't even paying attention. All right, well, whatever. Okay, so let me show you how difficulty works real quick. Actually, let's repair our mechs first. Oh, only 340,000. Not bad. Oops. So if we come over here and check our contracts. So some contracts have like half a star, some have 2 stars. This is like a general rating that is influenced by a few factors, but it's mainly like how many enemies per mission. So if you have a lot of maps that have a lot of enemies, the star rating goes up. So a half star is going to be, usually you're just facing off against a handful of light mechs on any given mission. So it's a pretty easy beginner mission. If you get, I think the game maxes out at 3 or 4 stars right now, in terms of what you can currently play. And that's because that's basically where it becomes near impossible without like further mechanics that are kind of due later in the game. But it definitely needs, I think, a little bit of balancing in that respect. So that you could see, you know, change over time a little bit. As I said, in the next year, what I really want to focus on is plot, polish, and missions. And for missions, you could think both mission complexity and mission balance. And especially the expedition is going to all be about like some new kinds of missions and a new way of getting missions. And so that'll be a big part of like what I work on over the next year. Alex says, oh yeah, Mech Commander 2 had a mechanic where you could put a pilot in an empty mech on the field, destroy it. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Like salvage as you go. Will there be empty mechs on the field to add to your forces? Like in theory, in story mode, there could be things where like there could be, you know, like a mech depot, and you could like stroll up to the mech depot and like your guys could jump in those mechs and activate them. Like those kinds of triggers could exist in the game. I don't know if in the expeditions game mode you would see that kind of stuff, but it's like, in theory, the game engine could do that, and it's the kind of thing I would give people the ability to add into their missions, because that reminds me of like the Crescent Hawk's Inception, when you go and break one of the guys out of jail, and then you're like trying to get in mechs real quick. Or like in the Crescent Hawk's Revenge, there's a mission where you're trying, it's on Dirion? Is it Dirion or Diron? The prison planet, where you're trying to like break in and break out your father, and there's like a mech depot in the upper right corner of the map, and if you get to that depot, then your guys like load up into Crusader mechs for the next mission. So there's things like that that I've seen in other games, obviously. And I could imagine that would be kind of fun to have the ability to do that in MetalMercs. But okay, let's see if we can find some more crew here. I will take you and new hired. Okay, feel like we could use some more mechs. I bought a bulldog, I think, or did I just imagine that? No, I literally just imagined. That's crazy. You know what? Having another long strike might be good. And I do like the bulldog. One thing we are totally neglecting is our debt. It's like your student loans. Who pays those? Who actually pays those? Nobody pays those, right? We owe 42 million. Nah, forget it. We're just gonna go into copious amounts of debt. Okay, let's try a mission where we try and, I was gonna say get crazy salvage, but like... It seems, we have to take harder missions, I think, to get better salvage options. We'll do like that. What do you say? Really? They're so stingy. I programmed the game and they're being stingy to me. Geez, 6 options per mission. How about this? They're only gonna give me 100k. I'll take it for the salvage. What a ripoff. Let's go repair our mechs. Let's see. Patch my rigs. There we go. We have like 30 million in the bank. We're fine. Herman Hillman says, any plans for infantry, cavalry, and air support? Cavalry, no. Like if you mean like horses. Although that could be an interesting game, horse versus mech. But like vehicles, yes. Air support, yes. Infantry, yeah. Yeah, there's basically, yes, there are plans for that kind of stuff. I can see Starcom breaking out of some kind of hard find powerful mechs to collect the hard way. Yes, 'tis possible. So in the lore of MetalMercs, obviously Starcom is kind of like a Comstar and Battletech, but they're a little different. Trying to think of like what the best analogy would be. It'd be like if Comstar, the Maesters, and the Iron Bank from Game of Thrones were all like one entity. Plus like the CIA, maybe, I don't know. Basically, Starcom's whole thing is that they're based in the core, but they're not really like of the core. They're the only power that actually maintains outposts beyond the core in the fringe. So they basically know more than every other major power in the core about what goes on beyond the core. So the core is a pretty insular area of space, and the major houses are mostly focused on their own internal politics. And the core is actually the most sort of densely populated area of space. And so they have the largest armies and stuff. So they generally kind of just assume that outside of the core, it's all bandits and pirates, and they just don't care too much about what's out there. They have some minor trading relationships, but they don't have a lot of intelligence. But Starcom actually has outposts beyond the core, and they actually have, a foothold out there. And so while they do operate in the core, and they have a big presence there, that's not necessarily their only presence. And so they have resources and knowledge and access that a lot of the great houses don't have, and which a lot of the great houses don't even care about. Like, they're kind of ignorant in that sense. They don't think it's valuable to have that at this point in the game's universe. All right, now let's see. Oh, there they are. Son of a bitch, they're trying to flank me. Oh my god, there's an evac zone way up there. You bastards. They're outsmarting me. So here's the new water, which you can see here, obviously. Now, when we blow a unit up, we can see basically the like semi-transparent effect I spent like an entire day working on last minute. Rushed it through quality, assurance and stuff. So yeah, when a mech explodes, if its parts land in water, they go under the water. That's basically it. Not groundbreaking. Was a little more complicated to code than you might think, just because the game doesn't actually use what's the words I'm looking for? It doesn't use transparent layers the way you might think it should. So it was harder to code than it should have been. In something like Godot, this would have been a very simple feature, and one of the reasons I sometimes kick myself I didn't use Godot when I first designed MetalMercs, but never say never in the future. But yeah, anyway, we got it working is the thing. So yeah, we got water. Water maps look cool. Secret submersible turrets. Yeah, I mean there could be things that submerge in the water in the future. It's kind of a new feature, so I haven't really played around with everything that we can do with it yet, but yeah, it was one of those things where I was looking, so the reason I added the water, I was like looking at the trailers and stuff I had ready for the Steam launch, and I was like trying to think like what would someone who never saw this game before think? You know, like worst case scenario, I'm like, they might look at some of the water and like it looks so static. And not that the water looks animated right now, because it isn't, but at least it interacts with the environment a little more, and it shades itself over top of whatever ground's below it. Oh, and parts that fall in deep water get lost, so they're just like gone. But anyway, I just sort of thought like, oh, the water kind of looks like if a part falls in the water, shouldn't it be underwater? And that made me like, you know, basically take an entire day to program something I had no intention of programming at that point in time. So it all worked out. It all worked out. Alex asks, how many mechs will the game have, the different varieties, and the different looks? Good question. So every major faction currently has, I think, 18 mechs. So that's the 5 major houses, each have 18 mechs. There are currently 6 or 8, I think, common mechs that are every house has access to, so they're kind of common across the whole core. Moving beyond the core, there will be more mechs, so there'll be some different factions and, you know, pirates and bandits, but other like not evil, because pirate isn't necessarily evil. They just made a life choice. But there are some other factions that will have mechs. Probably it'll be more limited, like 6 or 8. But without spoiling too much, the core is probably the most battle techy area of space in terms of mechs. And when you go beyond the fringe, there will be some things that you will see that you may not see in a BattleTech game. So some different styles of mechs that will mix things up a little bit more. So when I sort of designed this game, I intentionally wanted the core to be familiar to BattleTech fans, but I have some ideas of like how things can get more interesting as you move away. And so just you know, to give you a little bit more, I guess, you know, you can imagine what would a mech look like if it didn't come from like a rich established area of space, but it was in a more fringe area of space where people are like scrapping to survive on like a harsh planet, right? And you can imagine what kinds of mechs they might have out there, and that's sort of what you may find as you know, you move out of the core. So anyway, there could be some more interesting things out there. Sky's the limit. I'll let your imaginations run wild for now. All right, we did pretty good in that last mission, so our guys are not very scratched up, which means I really didn't take any salvage, and we can just go right into our garrison duty here. Construction mechs could be fun to have during a mission. Tougher since they're civilian but melee. Yeah, that's an interesting... what I will say is that's an interesting idea. And I won't say anything else. I said in my post, I think on Patreon and Discord and stuff, but it is really, you know, one of the things I think that has kept me going on this project is like how interested you guys are in this and how like game you guys are for like all these ideas and this universe and stuff. And yeah, so I appreciate all these like crazy ideas and all the speculation stuff. I think it's fun. All right, let's defend our base against some hornets. The hornet goes down like nothing. It's the lynxes, hornets and lynxes. Got my close to mid-range guys here. The long-range guys just pelting them from behind. The long strikes are actually pretty deadly. If you can keep enemies away from them, they're just non-stop barrages of missiles. Yeah, let's cold shot this guy. Core shot, buddy. Boom. Oh, that Damn, armor blocked it. I was gonna core shot him again, but didn't need to. Didn't need to. Steam-powered mech. Or internal combustion engine mech. That'd be going full steampunk right there. But I guess never say never. 6-legged mech, larger than 100k walking bases. Big salvage, but mega possible loss of your mechs. I think if you were fighting a giant base, that would be true. Alright. We keep getting, like, nothing for salvage, but we don't really need repairs. I guess I'll take it. What I've been trying to do is save my tokens. In fact, I guess we'll keep saving. Last one is intercept. The original MechWarrior games named what someone was facing. It may be useful for beginners to know how tough or quality the machines you're facing. Yeah, I agree. I think, right now, the sort of bar at the bottom of the number of mechs that you're facing, I have plans to change this. One of the things I would like to change is change how missions start up a little bit, and so I've postponed changing this until I change how missions start. But one thing, I think you could do this in Mech Commander 1, but maybe not. But like, you could choose your starting location out of some options. So right now you can see the minimap. You have no idea where you're going to spawn, where the enemy is, what your target is, nothing. I think that this needs to be improved, where you can like click on the map and you can see like, okay, here are the 2 evac zones the enemy's going to go to. Here's where your spawn points could be. Here's where the radar towers are. So you have like some intel, because it does feel a little jarring to like hop into the map and then have to figure out where the hell everything is. So yeah, I think there's some work to be done for the startup area completely. And I can't take any more mechs, so let's just go. But yeah, no, keep these ideas coming. The thing with developing a game is that, you know, when you're sitting there programming the game, making it as good as you can possibly make it, and blah, 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 eventually you can't see the parts of the game that are hard to understand, that are not user-friendly. You can't see, like, creative solutions to things you just haven't thought of. Because it's like everything just becomes so familiar to you. So, yeah, I mean, if you have ideas, you know, don't be shy about sharing them. Dropping them in the Discord is a great place, because then there's like a record of it I can go look back at sometimes to get ideas. But, you know, mentioning them on streams and videos and stuff as well is fine, but yeah. As I say, I think there's at least a year of development on this game, and then even at that point I wouldn't necessarily imagine that it's all going to be done, so I think we have some options to expand the game and really add in some cool features. It's the hope anyway. It's the hope. Keep the dream alive, right guys? Oh, we're just crushing them. I do like the long strikes on intercept missions because you can just plant them and they have such long range that they'll basically just pick apart anything that comes near them. What I do wish, though, is that I had a few fast units, because this guy's just going to run right by me. No hope of catching that guy. I'm going to try and catch these guys instead. Once you get their attention on an intercept mission, they will stop and actually fight with you for a little bit, until they get low on health. And then they decide to run, but the goal is to make it too late for them to run at that point. There we go, got that guy. Do some auto-called shots here. Take him down! Oh my god! His health literally dropped to nothing. I turned on called shots and it was like... Down he went. Wait, what blew up? I think they destroyed a radar tower over here. Yeah, this guy did. I'll try and intercept him if I can. It's great to see creators bring something to life. So being able to directly engage with you as the game evolves is special. Most games live or die by their community. Yeah, thank you. I think community is definitely very important as well. And yeah, as I've said a few times today, like, you know, you guys being here has definitely helped get us this far. So Whether you're a fan or like a patron, or you just wishlisted the game today, or you've just tried the demo, or you're just watching this for absolutely no reason, I definitely appreciate you. Like really, like it really does make a difference. Let's try this lineman. Let's try and salvage, guys. 5 tokens, 50% chance of recovery. Oh no, wait, we always get them. Oh, that's right, I revamped the salvage. Okay, well, that's an incorrect labeling, but might have to go fix that in the Steam demo. We got a mech though, that's awesome. And is there anything that we need to do? Guess we might as well use some of these to patch up weapons. Literally all we can do. Alright. Well, 7 leftover tokens, that hurts. It's the risk you run when you're greedy with your tokens, I suppose. A quick way to dismiss pop-ups in the middle of the screen would be nice. Minor annoyance in the middle of battle. Yeah. That's a good idea. You may want to have a channel on your Discord for suggestions to be directed. I don't see it. I think there's a requests area, so we could relabel that suggestions and requests, but I think that's where I would recommend putting things. You start a new thread where you put your suggestion in, and then that way I can like easily see like all the suggestions by thread. So Clavo says Jay was trying to show off the water effects before, and we got the screen filling pop-up for a called shot or something. Oh, sorry. I've been following your development since you started as a Crescent Hawks game mod initially. Nice how it evolved. Thank you, sir. Repaid depots in the base would be good if they have them in there. Oh, repair depots. Yeah, as I say, there will be a little bit more for between mission repairs eventually. There's a mechanic. Don't want to spoil anything because I think it's quite fun, but there's a mechanic that will eventually be in the game. Renaming it makes more sense to me. I help on other Discords for other types of games. Oh, well, Wrangler, I mean, if you help on Discords and you have any interest in, you know, being more than just on our Discord, but like being in sort of the mod side of things, shoot me a message on Discord, dude, because I definitely am open to that. We have a couple people doing that kind of stuff, but always willing to help have more. The honest truth with Discord, guys, is I'm like borderline incompetent with it. Like, I can use it. I've gotten a little more comfortable with it over the years, but like I was never on Discord before I started one for my game, and I kind of fumble through it, and I don't 100% know what I'm doing all the time. So I have different strengths, but if Discord is one of your strengths and you do want to help the game, that is one way you could help out. Hey there, quick question that you may have already answered, but when will the game release? Peter, the full game is planned to be released next year. So the current demo implements this open world mercenary system. You can travel to all these different planets. You can get contracts, work for different houses and stuff. There are a handful of really core mechanics that are going to be really fun that aren't in the game yet. And basically, the plan over the next year is I'm planning to implement all those mechanics and do a real proper release. And there'll be a couple of different game modes to play beyond just this open world one. Some that I think will be, hopefully, fingers crossed, everyone will enjoy and find quite fun. But if you don't like it, then the open world one will still be here. But yeah, long story short, summer next year. I'm going to time it with a Steam Fest. All the research I've been doing says you really have to do it. You don't have to, but you really should do a Steam Fest before you release. So we might aim for the summer Steam Fest and then release shortly thereafter. Or if we're a little behind, it may be the fall Steam Fest. But one of the Steam Fests next year is when this game will, after the Steam Fest, when it will come out. Good night, Alex. Thank you for stopping in, man, and for all your ideas. Let's do one more mission, and then maybe we will call it a wrap for today. In fact, let us go, and I'm gonna go to Drake's Landing. Let's burn the rest of our cash on some sweet, sweet mechs. Let's go all out into debt, guys. Because what's the worst that's going to happen to us? Absolutely not. We'll be fine. All right, let's see what we got. Patch my rigs, trade some metal. Oh, are you kidding me? These are the worst mechs ever. I mean, they're not bad. We are light on light mechs, but I want this guy or this guy. One of these. I know you have it for sale, Mech It Lube. I can see it. I see the mech literally in your mech yards. Okay, let's, oops, I'm gonna go over here. Let's head to Titan. Titan Prime, the games world. This is a fun fact, if you check the wiki, Titan Prime started as a Colosseum world hundreds of years ago, where dissidents and prisoners were forced to fight to death in the Colosseum in mechs. And then it gradually turned into an American Gladiator style, game show fun world where people still do die in the arena occasionally. It's sort of like Solaris for Battletech fans out there. But yeah, started off, oh my god, 30 million! Can't afford mechs here. Or is there a reasonably priced one? There's nothing reasonable about this planet. Okay. I guess it's pretty expensive here on Titan. Let's go back, check out here real quick. We're just shopping around for mechs, guys. Trying to find something good, you know. There's backstory for Drake's Landing too, if you're curious, on the wiki. If you want to know like why it's called Drake's Landing or who Drake was. There's a legend behind it. Legendary mercenary. But you can go on the wiki and find out like why he got the planet and things like that. Mechs were too expensive there too. I'm going to try, let's see. Planet known for sprawling cities and advanced infrastructure. They might have good mechs. Give them a shot. Spectral Plane says don't burn out. Yes, thank you. I'm acutely aware of burnout, and one of the things that I think the Steam release is, so I put so much work into getting the Steam release ready. Again, I thought it would take me 2 days. Ended up spending 6 weeks on getting this ready. But one of the reasons why I really wanted to get the Steam release out is, well, not only because it was time, but we were doing like almost monthly updates with the game, or like every month or two there was like a new version of the game when we were doing it on Patreon. And like, I'm not gonna not do any more updates on Patreon. I definitely am going to still have like the preview builds and stuff as we develop. But I think with the game being on Steam, it kind of like gives me a breather to like, if I need to disappear for a month or two and like recover and implement some features a little more slowly, I can. One thing that happened with this game when it changed from a Battletech fan game into MetalMercs is I went dark for like 6 to 8 months. You know, I like just stopped updating, stopped telling people what was going on. Not because I didn't want people to know, but it was more like, it's like it adds this weird pressure when you're constantly telling people what you're up to. And it's sort of, you know, during that time I like experimented with a bunch of stuff and like just sort of put my nose to the grindstone, did what I need to do. And so it's like, sometimes I feel like you have to do that as a game developer. So this doesn't mean that if you're currently a patron or something, you're suddenly not going to hear from me for like, you know, 6 months. But it just means that with something like a formal release out there on Steam, I won't feel as much pressure to have like another, you know, an update to the free demo, and an update to the free demo, and an update to the free demo. It's like the free demo is there. This is, you know, like a good indicator of what MetalMercs is about. We're working on some big changes, and they will come, you know, down the line when they're ready. And supporters may get a peek at that as we go along, but it's, you know, there's not necessarily going to have to be a monthly update or anything. So I think that was what my thinking for one thing I could do after the Steam release. And then, yeah, with the idea of you want to avoid burnout, right? Because like burnout's deadly. Like, you get burnout and like that's the end of your project, right? Like it just is. And again, acutely aware of that, and trying to avoid it. Trying to avoid it. So yeah. Yeah. All right, let's get a mission here. This will be our last mission for the evening. Let's make it a good one. Let's go out with a bang. Like, okay, here's one. 2-star mission. Absolutely no failures allowed. Oh god, and it ends on an escort, actually. Let's do this one instead. All right, 2-star mission. 1 failure allowed at the end. But this is gonna be hard. I don't even know if we're powerful enough to do this mission. But we are going to give it a shot. And they're actually offering us a lot more, like, tokens and stuff this time around. See what happens. We have agreed to the terms of the contract. All right. Clavo Hunter says you are not prepared. I definitely am not prepared. Let's see if we can grab a few last-minute pilots. That guy sucks. That guy and that girl sucks. Ooh, this guy's not bad. Anyone else? Nope. We'll hire him. Yes. Anyone else? No. Oh, there was, hold on, before we go into the mission, there was like 1 or 2 things, other like updates, minor updates that I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, the languages. Oh, so first off, when the game used to crash, if it crashed, it would like seemingly hang, but there would be a message in like another window telling you that it had crashed. I fixed it so it doesn't do that anymore. So if the game ever does crash on you guys, it'll at least kick you out, so you don't have to like you know, task manager quit it. One other minor thing, which you may or may not have noticed, all the money in the game has been rounded to the nearest tens. So this entire playthrough, I haven't had an individual, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 in this column. And it's a minor thing, but I think there's numbers get so big in this game that it's like having that individual number. It's like, I don't know what it is, but it just makes it harder on your brain. So I took that number out to make it simpler. I also changed it so that when you sell mechs now, they sell for a much lower fraction of what they're worth when you buy them. So previously there was a strategy in this game where you could go to planets where mechs were cheap, buy them, go to expensive planets and sell them and get tons of profit. And you could do this forever, and you could make millions of dollars without ever taking a contract. It was fun to do that, I will admit, but it also kind of meant you didn't even have to be a mercenary. So I basically toned it down so that, you know, when you sell a mech, you get something, but you're really not making too much of a profit. So like the Gallimimus we paid like 20 million for, we get 3 million if we sell it. It's really not a good deal. We should only sell it if we want to get rid of it. So that's basically what the that's basically one of the other changes. And one other change, actually, can I do it in game that I can show you guys? Oh yeah, we can totally do this. So, you know, probably this doesn't affect too many of you guys, because if you're in the stream listening to me, you speak English. But one thing that I mentioned I was adding for Steam is support for different languages. And so we now have support for 13 languages, that's including English, so 12 non-English languages. And basically just everything I read, there were 2 reasons to do it. One is, you know, obviously you want to reach as wide an audience as possible, and language barriers are like a reason somebody wouldn't, you know, if somebody doesn't speak English, they wouldn't download the game. So these are some of the most common languages that people on Steam are using. So these are languages that can reach other people. And second, it's sort of, you know, what I kind of realized, this is so like, you know, arrogant and like self-centered to say, but it's like, I never thought about non-English languages. I just literally didn't occur to me. I'm like, oh, like people will just play it in English, and if they don't know English, I guess I thought they would suck it up and play it in English. But I'm like, you know, really, that's not fair to people who don't speak English, right? Like there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to enjoy the game. So if we switch the game to any of these languages, so here's Japanese, I can actually now recognize Japanese, Korean, and Chinese and tell the difference. I never could before, but having to do the translations. So hold on, if we go out of the menu and then go back into the menu, there you go. So you can see all the different languages, which I've kind of screwed myself because now how do I find the game options? Okay, here we go. We want language. Nope, that's screen resolution. That's full screen. Hold on. I'm like screwing this up hardcore. There's language. Okay. Did I screw up the stream? Can you guys still see what's going on? Yes, you can. Okay, hold on. I screwed something up here. Can't see the chat anymore. Go down, go down. Anyway, yeah, if non-English, oh god, if another language besides English is your main language, you can now switch to that language, and almost everything in the game should be translated. There's a couple of things that aren't translated, and I will say that I had to use like automatic translation stuff to do the translations, because I don't speak 13 different languages. You know, I speak English. I'm like Bruce Willis in Die Hard. I speak English and bad English. So I couldn't personally do the translations. I can't say 100% whether they're good or not, but I added something where when you select a non-English language, it lets people know this is kind of a work in progress. If you, are fluent in this language and you notice obvious typos or mistakes, if you drop by the Discord, we would love to hear from you, basically. So kind of inviting them to join the community. Yeah, anyway, it's not like a major thing that most of you will probably ever use, but I do kind of, now that it's in there, I sort of think, like, why didn't I add this earlier? Like, it did take some doing to add. It wasn't super easy, but it's like, I feel like it's kind of cool. We're like international now. So, yeah. Hope you make sure there's a symbol to help get you back to languages. Wrangler, there is. I'll show you on the title screen. We'll quit to the title screen after this, and you can see. But there's like a very obvious sort of like little language area. And truthfully, you should probably switch languages on the title screen, because that's where you're going to be able to like easily see it. If you're switching it in game, you're really taking a risk. But I'd encourage you not to switch it to a language you don't know in the middle of playing. But if you ever get in a situation where you do, just kind of quit the game, restart, and on the main menu, I'll show you where the languages area is. It's just a little more obvious on the main menu. Okay, hold on. Oops. Created special groups here. So group 3 and group 1 and group 2 will hang back. Group 2 is a long range group. Oh, they weren't even anywhere near the battle anyway. Group 2 here. Okay, 1 and 3. Alright, this is pretty good. In fact, I'm going to let group 3 engage. Although I don't want to engage too far. I kind of want to lure the enemy in a bit. Oh, there's a... Okay, actually, group 3 is going to come back here. Protect the flank of group 2. Group 1 is just living in a world of smoke. Smoke and steel. The words of the Starcrest Protectorate. I would like to make more lore videos at some point. They just take so much time. When I was announcing MetalMercs, like when we were reviving it and stuff, and we went through like, you know, version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're on 6 now. But when we were like doing the revival and stuff, I don't know if you guys remember, some of you may, but I made those lore videos, like who are the Starcrest Protectorate? Who's the Confederate Vanguard Union? I gave like, you know, who's their leader? Who are like the leader's children? What's a bit of their history? And that lore stuff is fun to do, but it is time consuming. I stopped doing it because it just takes so much time, you know. I got to focus on programming the game at some point. Anon asked, do mechs have weaker armor in the rear? They don't. So I talked about this previously, actually today a little bit. Because the game is real time and the AI does a lot of the movement, and there's so many mechs on the battlefield, it's just one dimension that's too hard to manage. So currently no. But what you can do is create sort of across mechs weak rears, where you have weak and damaged and long range units that are weak kind of near the back of your forces, and have stronger forces near the front to kind of create a line. And if enemies get past the front, they'll start attacking the rear. So you kind of have to continually reposition those like front flanking units to keep units away from the rear or back units. So that is one way we kind of have that mechanic in the meta of the battle, but not like on an individual unit, because it's just a bit too hard to manage for a real-time game. Do you randomly get attacked while in a city like you did in the Crescent Hawks? So on the mission, you know, like different missions, we were just on a base defense mission, so we had to protect the base, and enemies were coming to attack it. On different missions, there'll be different stuff. So the next mission we're about to see is a large-scale battle. So you guys will get to see... In this one, I'm not going in alone. There's going to be AI companions helping me. But this is... AI... These large-scale battles are actually pretty tough. Early on, it seems like it's easy to win because you're just taking down mechs, but they almost never end. It's just wave after wave. You can easily get overwhelmed. So... yeah, you should get someone to work on the lore for you. You could approve and disapprove it. Yeah, I mean, you know, as we've said, you know, having a strong community behind a game can make all the difference. I'm totally willing to help, you know, guide someone if they want to do any lore stuff or produce any lore content. I can like tell them backstories or like, you know, let them know what is or isn't accurate if they try and, you know, cobble something together or whatever. But yeah, I think it would just depend on a person emerging who wanted to do that. But I think if we keep doing this long enough, those kinds of people will appear, and I'll support them any way I can. Alright, yeah, these battles do get pretty big. My computer may chug a bit here. Okay, so just for those of you seeing a big battle for the first time, blue guys are on our side, green are us, red are the enemies, and this is going to be a big one. So I'm going to try and position my main squads there, and I'm going to keep my long-range guys near the back. Make a lore submission channel on Discord. Yeah, we can do that. There's a lore channel on Discord. I've used it mainly like when I've updated the wiki and stuff to let people know like there's more lore and they can go check it out. I mean, truth be told, I have a lot of the details worked out for some major things, but there's always room, like if you have, you know, suggestions or ideas, like, you know, as we've been saying for the gameplay as well, there are opportunities where I haven't, you know, I'm one person, so I haven't mapped out every single nook and cranny in all of existence, but yeah, I do have like major ideas kind of mapped out already. So in that case, it would, if somebody wanted to work on lore, it'd be like, I could give them guidance and like tell them some stories and let them pick which one they find interesting and they might want to elaborate or make content for, and I could like help confirm that they've got all the details right and stuff. Anyway, I'm thinking how folks submit for Shrapnel BT. I'm actually not familiar with that, so I'm not sure how that works. But I mean, you know, feel free to drop that. You don't have to let that idea die in the chat here. Feel free to bring it up on the Discord and we can chat more. Waves would be too much for a casual player like me. Our guys are doing okay. I'm allowing them to do their own called shots on this one, because I feel like for this battle, just like organizing the positioning of my units is sufficient. Oh my god, just keep coming. I'm gonna bring my long-range guys over here, find the safety of this wall. Why don't I bring my guys down like this? Shrapnel's a magazine from Battletech. I can post some examples on the Discord later. Awesome. Please do. So many mechs going down. I think a lot on our side, actually. Oh, they have their own long strikes. Okay, we gotta try and take these guys out. See, this is where, like, you can't target the rear of enemies, but you can target, like, weak units that are lingering near the edge of combat. This is where, like, sort of the broader unit positionings do matter. They have, like, 3 long strikes here. Oh, my God. Take them down, boys. Okay, flee, whatever. Let them flee. 4 critically long strikes. I think every single allied unit has been destroyed. Okay, so coming in from the rear was actually useful. It actually pushed their long strikes into my units, and they got obliterated. Now they're fleeing. Die. Okay, we'll let him go. Oh, he's dead. Jeez, there's more. It's crazy. Truly doesn't end. We're getting low on ammo, too. We, let's see, 27? I don't know how much we have left. Okay, I'm gonna let my guys engage. My frontline guys. I think we got this. In fact, we didn't even take too much damage, but our allies got obliterated. Look at this look at this base. Absolutely obliterated. Oh, I lost stream details. There we go. Hold on, bring this back over here. There we go. Sorry, I was just adjusting a window. Where do you think you're going, buddy? I think he's about to get away, actually. That's where he's going. I think my guy gave him one more punch after he fled. He like punched in anger. It's like waving your fist at the sky. Okay, we got 2 more missions to get through. I would love to salvage a Lancer, but I think it is not in the cards. Ooh, they even have a medium Vulcan. I just desperately need repairs right now. So badly. Or maybe I don't. Gotta repair the beast. And the Bulldog. And anything else? No. Wrangler says, as long as you, Jay, have fun, it's a good thing. Thank you, sir. And Clavel Hunter says, I love how completely destroyed the battlefield looks after a full-scale engagement. Yeah, me too. It was fun implementing that feature and then seeing it actually work. Yeah. Okay. Oh my god, Jaden's almost dead. Oh, we're only fighting 3 units this time around. Okay. This will be an easy fight. Gonna spare some of these guys. Even the Dragoon I'll give a rest. I'm going in with a lighter force. I think it's all we need. I guess, is there any reason not to bring... I guess I'll bring a Bulldog. Lineman. Could bring a Warden as well. Okay. Like, there's not a huge... So, if you're doing contracts for the Sovereignty, you have to pay per mech you bring into battle, because the Sovereignty actually doesn't pay to put your mechs into battle, you do. So there, it makes sense to scale back, but I guess since I can deploy for free, I might as well bring as many guys as possible. Wrangler, that's 3 individual units. The number of mechs along the bottom is how many enemy units you're going to see. There's no firepower like overwhelming firepower. You said it, buddy. The Warden also has jump jets, which is fun to see. Jumping over the forest. It's actually very mobile for us. I guess I haven't noticed, but we really have not had too many mobile units today. Having a unit with this much mobility is pretty handy. So yeah, these are the missions that I definitely feel like I want to revamp. These, like, an enemy force is hidden somewhere on the map, go find them and kill them. Because, like, the reality is, this is how you actually do these missions, guys. You take every unit... Oh, wait, never mind. I just found them. I was going to say, you take your units and just scatter them, and then eventually somebody sees something, and then you bring your units together, and then you're good. You can see the forest deforming as they're, like, running around through them. But yeah, I think, as I said earlier in the stream, you know, there's many inspirations for this game, but one of the inspirations I've been thinking of recently is Mech Commander and how much more interesting their missions are than mine, and how over the next year, as we, you know, polish and refine the game for release, one of the things that I think this game desperately needs is just better missions. Because I think the battles are fun, but sometimes the, like, things string together the battles are a little basic. And so if it was more interesting and there was more going on and there was like a few more steps to each mission, I think it could be a lot more fun. So that's something that I'm going to experiment with and work on and try to shore up over the next year. Boom, that was a very easy one. That was a nice light one. Ooh, nice to have a little breather after a big battle. So now we can see. Well, now there's nothing good to salvage, but I guess now we can repair up our mechs further. Is really what we need. Maybe the Lancer? Oh no, the Gallimimus, for sure. Gonna save my tokens. It may be crazy. But the last mission is an intercept mission, so hopefully it's not too crazy. You can look at how Battletech Chaos Campaign set up. It has components for missions that include or types of missions. That's a good idea too. Yep. Yeah, I think I need to go back. I did a full playthrough of Mech Commander at one point on my channel. I need to either go watch that and or replay some of the missions so I get a feel for things. But yeah, looking at some other inspirations I think would be good too. Not to like necessarily blatantly copy anyone, but just like get ideas. I mean, I've already had some ideas for a raid mission, which we don't currently have in the game, where you have to like get to a building and then like control it for X number of seconds while you like steal something or get a high valuable target out of it. Then you have to like get out of there. And so kind of like a mission where it's like speed is more important than firepower almost. Because I think the game currently doesn't have too much of that. It's always like more firepower equals better. But it'd be cool to have a little bit of variety where it's like it depends a bit on what the mission actually is as to what's going to be the most useful. Wait, do we have any more mechs? I mean, we do, but... okay, I'm not going to risk it. Oh, dear God. 3 light mechs, 6 mediums, 3 heavies, plus. It's going to be even more than that. This could be the end of us, guys. Oh, man. Well, if we go out with a bang. So yeah, so in the chat we have having missions where light mechs are more relevant, if not necessary, would be good. I completely agree. And intercept and base assault missions incentivize using some fast mechs. That is true. That's why it took us a long time to get intercept missions to be semi-fun. But I think we're at a point where they kind of are. Because they went through so many different like adjustments. Not saying they're necessarily the best mission, but I mean, if you go back and look at when we had MetalMercs, when the intercept mission was in MetalMercs, it sucked compared to now. And so I definitely like the idea of like sometimes light mechs being the answer, you know. Because I think it's very true to like, you know, real like battlefield tactics where like you don't always necessarily want the biggest, slowest, beefiest unit on the battlefield. It just so happens a lot of missions currently reward that. But as I say, my hope is to make missions a little more complex in a good way. Okay, we're gonna keep the long strikes there. We're gonna try and push guys back with our big boys. Get away from the... Oh my God. Uh-oh. Now we're starting to be overwhelmed on an intercept mission. Okay, look at this chaos. What happened to the battlefield? We are not controlling things in an orderly fashion. Okay, let's take down the Hornet. I gotta get all my guys together over here. Group 2, Group 3, Group 1. I'm definitely gonna have to make use of called shots. Okay, can we cold shot this guy? He only has 8 internal hits left. Take him down! Boom, alright, he's down. Did the Dragoon take somebody down? This guy in the legs. I'll slow him down a bit at least. I feel like taking down the Outriders is what is like knocking my points up enough where I might actually beat this mission. Oh, I think they killed one of my guys. They did. They killed the Dragoon. Damn. Wow, a Kingsguard. This is like one of the bigger mechs. Don't see those very often. They were like holding a line against Hornets, Lynxes. The long-range guys are just like desperately holding their breath back there. They're like, don't let anything through. Try alpha striking this guy. Get him! Actually, here, everyone turn on your auto shot. Let's go nuts. Oh my god, the Kingsguard's breaking through. Stay away from my long-range guys. Alright, we got him. Okay, I think if we take down another Hornet or two, and in fact, actually, we passed the mission now. So with the intercept missions, you only have to take out 25% or more of the enemy forces. You can try to take out 75% for a bonus, but as you can see, so what makes the intercept missions more interesting nowadays is it's easier to find the enemies. When you actually engage them, they will engage back to some degree, although eventually they'll try and flee. So there's a bit of like strategy of like, you know, how do you want to route them and stuff like that. But also, intercept missions tend to deploy more enemies than you can handle. So it's like if you do try to take them all out, it can really be a hard mission. So usually you have to let some go. So it's like you know, how many do you let go and how good of a salvage do you want and stuff. But anyway, I'm pretty sure we got this guy. Marksman. Down you go, punk. Boom! We ended with a bang! So Frito says missions where multiple objectives in different spots have to be achieved at the same time could be fun. Oh, that's a good idea. It's a good idea. One thing I've thought about missions that I will be adding eventually is to have optional objectives. I mean, many games do this, but honestly, you know what made this idea kind of click with me was Super Mario Wonder. Great game, by the way, but I was playing Mario Wonder just like in my own civilian life, not as a YouTuber and not, you know, as a game developer, just for fun. And, you know, in Mario Wonder, the levels can be completed without getting any secrets or any of the bonus coins. And you can beat every level, do just fine. But if you want to get the 3 bonus coins, sometimes you have to go out of your way to do like hard things or find secrets and stuff. And that's, you know, I knew this before, but I hadn't really thought about it. But that's basically Nintendo's way of having a difficulty in the game, right? You can play a level on hard mode where you try and get all the golden coins, or you can play it on easy mode where you don't. And so the player can dynamically choose in the middle of the game how hard they want the level to be. And I think that's brilliant. I think that's better than having a slider at the beginning, like do you want it easy, medium, or hard? So having optional objectives, I think, in missions could be awesome, where it's like, if somebody really wants to go above and beyond in a mission, they can get like extra money or extra salvage or whatever. But if, you know, you just want to have an easy mission, you can avoid the optional, just focus on the, you know, required objectives. So optional objectives are one of the ways I want to further improve missions and just add dynamic difficulty and fun, you know, challenge to the game. So that's something that we'll see over the next year or so. And people are agreeing in the people are agreeing in the chat. I too play games as human. Chronos version 2 says, honestly, a game with this kind of tactical combat, it makes sense to have optional objectives. Not every battle out there is so straightforward. Yep, totally agree. Artificial scaling of difficulty sucks in my opinion. Yeah, it's you know, it's fine. There are some good games out there that do it, but I mean, it is always, I think, cooler when we don't have it, because it's like the idea of like, oh, enemies now do 50% more damage and you just earn half the money. It's like, okay, well, you're just scaling parameters, whereas like optional mission objectives feels like a more substantial qualitative change in difficulty that is like more fun and interesting than just enemies now do 50% more damage, like whoop-de-whoop, right? So yeah, so that's something that we'll work on. Anyway, guys, today MetalMercs has dropped on Steam. If you have not done so already, go check it out, see if you like it. If you do, click that wishlist button. If you don't, that's okay. Not everything is for everyone. I appreciate you guys giving it a chance, though. if you are a supporter on Patreon and stuff, as I say, I'm going to have the supporter version of version 1.6, which you see here. This is the demo, so this has a few limitations, but the supporter preview version will be on Patreon there. But yeah, over the next year, this game is going to be developed. You know, we have a good community on Discord where people are offering suggestions and ideas and you know, just generally talking about mechs and stuff. So if you do think of something cool that you wish was in the game, or something about the game that, you know, just doesn't quite work right, or you would hope to see change at some point, come let me know. I think the best thing we can do as a community is, you know, you guys give me the feedback and I'll do my best job to make sure this game rises to become everything it could be and is awesome and fun. And that's the contract we can have with each other. But yeah, thank you so much for checking out this video. Share it with your friends, your closest family. Your grandmother may like this game. You never know unless you ask. If there's YouTubers that you watch who play games, let them know this game exists. You know, maybe they'll check it out. That'd be awesome. But just wishlisting and playing the game is awesome too. So thank you guys for checking out today's video. You guys all stay cool, and we will see you soon. Alrighty guys, until next time, peace.